Every time you buy gas, use promo code WALK5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code WALK5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code WALK5 to get up to a $5 bonus on your first tank.
Hi, I'm Mitch Colvin, president of Colvin Funeral Home and Crematory. For over 50 years, our family has provided professional services with dignity, compassion, and respect with families during a time of need. We realize funeral services are as unique as those we're honoring. We offer a variety of affordable, quality services tailored to meet each family's needs, specializing in burial and cremation services. Proudly servicing Cumberland, Robeson, Hoke, Harnett, Bladen, and surrounding counties from 2 locations, 2010 Murchison Road, Fayetteville, 1904 Elizabethtown Road, Lumberton. For more information, visit our website, www.hmcolvin.com.
You have always put others before yourself. Put your country above all else. Given everything you can, every time. Now it's time to forge a new path. At Fayetteville State University, we believe your service is our debt. So we're offering free military family tuition. Yes, absolutely free. And with new programs like cybersecurity, anything really can happen. Fayetteville State University. Are you in?
It's a great day in the village of Lafayette, and it's so good to be back with you on a wonderful Wednesday morning. I'm John Godbout, flying solo. Solo, I cannot hear myself. No, just kidding. But I'm looking for Bishop to just say hello to me, but I got somebody in the studios with me. I got Paul G., the man, pushing the buttons and making it sound so professional. And it's great to be back in the city with you. Had a wonderful time sharing and with my wife, my son and daughter, a couple members of our church secretary and deacon. We all went down to Mexico for a while and did some work there. God was really good to us, and I'm glad to be back. And if you never had a chance to do a little mission trip, you need to do that. I'll tell you what it'll do. Give you a great gratitude for such things as running water, hot water, pillowcases, a lot of other good things as well. We'll talk about that some other time. But it's good to be in the city and to share with you, as we always do, an opening word from Word on Wednesday with B&B, Bishop Carl Brinkley Jr. and John Godbout. But let's begin with our scripture today and with a prayer. I want to come from Genesis chapter 15, verse 20, the story of Joseph when his brothers were concerned about him, who is now second in command of Egypt. And all of a sudden, they're recognizing that maybe after our father died, he's going to do something dangerous to us. But here's what Joseph said. But as for you, you thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass as it is today, to save much people alive. I want to speak with you for a moment about producing instead of perishing. A lot of time people need, as Lou Holt said this, people need love the most when they deserve it the least. As the very nature of man is this, that we look to subtract and divide when God is always adding and multiplying in our lives. Even when we don't understand it, with our best plans, it looks like somehow or another God can take this mess of life and make something good out of it. So the ultimate sign of Christendom is not your gifts. It's not your position in life. It's not even your growth. Guess what it is? It's the fruitfulness of your life. If you have really grown in any situation, there is fruit. So the sign is not to perish, but to produce in the midst of what you're going through. I've been practicing something I learned As a coach, basketball coach many years ago, you celebrate your small victories. There are games that we lost, but we were able to tell the guys, listen, don't be down on yourself. We executed our plans. We stayed composed under the pressure, and we started talking about the positive things that we did instead of allowing ourselves to get down because we didn't win the game. So many other good things can happen in that process. So the trick of the flesh is this, to get you angry, get you depressed about your situation, so you'll lose your sense of purpose. You'll lose your identity as a child of God. The flesh will get you riled up after all of these things happen, and you'll make some unintelligent decisions. But Joseph didn't. He decided to tell his brothers with honor and dignity that even though you may have meant this for evil, I've grown up enough to understand God is using my life and all the things I went through. Now listen, this was not an overnight situation that Joseph went through. That brother went through for years. And when he finally was in the position where he could talk to his brothers, he told them, God is bringing productivity out of that perishing situation. God has made an increase of what looks like a decrease. God has raised up friends out of what looked like foes. And God has made an entrance in what looked like an exit. So, and also, God took a beginning, made a beginning out of what looked like an end. So the key here is this, for all of us to recognize where you are today, grow through it. Grow through it. Don't stop. That's the key. Let's pray. Our Father and our God, as we approach you this morning, it is in the name of Jesus the Christ that we do so. We thank you for the gift of this day. And for all of my brothers and sisters who are listening to us and may hear this later, I pray that they recognize that they will not perish. They were not buried. They were planted, and they're going to bring forth in this situation. I speak into your life today that you are made whole through this process, that what God put you in the ground to do, the shell is going to break. The fruit is going to take root and bring forth. And people will see that you are the Christian that God has called you to be by the fruit that you bear in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. All right, Brother Paul, let's get it rolling today. Now listen, I wanted to, there was something that came across my mind as I was reflecting. I was, again, out of the country, but I was reflecting on some of the conversation I've been having with people over the past several months. And I wanted to stick with this thought of, I guess the best way to put it is how to maintain your integrity and your morals while the world is going haywire around us. I'm seeing this over and over again where things are just happening, and conversations I've had, men and women who said, I went on the date, I didn't intend to get sexually involved, but it happened. Or that's not who I'm supposed to be. Or I'm on a job and I knew I shouldn't have taken that, and I lost my job because I made a choice to do this thing, and I knew better than that. And people who want to continue with their teaching or standards in whatever that walk of life is, job or otherwise, and then you see them let go of it. They give up on it. And I wanted to spend some time today to just with you who want to call in. We'd love to hear from you. First and foremost, I think Paul can answer the call right from where he's standing. So the number hasn't changed, 910-483-6111. You can give us a call there as we talk about, maybe you can tell us some of the things you went through, how difficult it may have been to hold on to that standard in the midst of what is happening in this world. I don't know about you, Pastor Paul, but sometimes we have to face those tough times. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And I think about, as you were saying it, I was thinking about what the Apostle Paul said in Romans 12:2. You know, be not conformed to this world. And so we're living in a system that is steadily trying to conform us into a pattern. It's still trying to, when you're watching regular TV, you're going to get advertisement. Mm-hmm. You may enjoy your show, but it's going to give a little break so that they can try to win you over to this product or go to this restaurant or drive this vehicle. And so steadily, we have to understand as believers that we're living in a world that is constantly still coming at us, trying to conform us.
I was looking, as you were talking about that, the scripture that came to my mind was what Paul said in 2 Timothy chapter 3. And if you read that, you can see as he's talking about men becoming lovers of themselves, and covetous, boasters, and proud, and unthankful, and unholy, and on and on. But what got my attention was verse 8, when he said, "Now as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds reprobate concerning the faith." So when you think about ethics, as one person said, ethics is not a choice, it's a responsibility.
Wow.
I'm looking at Moses, who has been with God. Every sign you can think of is on this man's life. They've watched him put a stick in water and turn the water to blood. They watched God give one victory after another through this man's life. The cloud that they're following by day and the fire by night, they're seeing it. But somehow or another, to challenge that leader to say, we're going back, or we're not going to follow you anymore, and how Moses had to remain faithful in that time. I'm finding that that's what I'm seeing today, the mentality to remain faithful. What does it take for a man or woman of God to say, I understand that there's going to be a fight, and I'm not going to have a lot of people who are going to agree with me, because we see in the Word that people are going, in these last days, we're going to have to make stands of personal stands morally, and then with values that we know we should hold as Christians.
Wow. I'm looking at the text, hearing you expound on it, and it has to be a situation where we are sold out to the point where knowing that there will be opposition, knowing that we won't have the same support that we had before because of the times, but we have to remain faithful.
Have you ever thought about how difficult it would be for us if people always brought up our failures over and over again after being Christians? But when you read the Word, you can't help but to look at David's whole life.
Yes, sir.
And I can always bring up when he messed up, or Moses when he hit the rock, or Abraham when he said his wife was his sister.
Yeah.
You know, we can always bring up those things, but it's just not fair to keep doing that to them if we didn't want folk to do it to us. However, I think it's a good principle for us to notice in life. You got to be able to stand by yourself. You've got to show God, and in your own and yourself. I think one of the things is believing in myself, because morals are my personal beliefs about right and wrong, but ethics are the rules that we set up for in a business, or for the church itself. God has given us governing how we should govern our behavior according to the Word. But morally, I have to make up in my mind, do I understand, and will I stick by this when it becomes difficult? I think that's where the key is for us now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thinking about how the enemy, knowing his strategy, that he moves through suggestions. Even from the garden, he won't do a Flip Wilson. He won't make you do it, but he will suggest of a different way, and to say that it is more beneficial if you go this way, or doing it this way, or you take this, or you do that, and always puts us in a rut because it sounds good,
Yeah, sure.
I mean, because the way that he seduced Eve looked at the tree totally different, and so I guess we have to guard our ears and guard our hearts, when it comes to the suggestions that come from the enemy and come from this world system.
I like that point, as you were talking about Adam, male and female, and Eve looking at things differently than what God told her.
Yeah.
I think when I look at that and process it, I know that's one of the things that the enemy tests us with.
Yes, sir.
And that is, once he recognizes what we're looking at, he then talks to us about it and give us a different viewpoint of it than what God really said. And that is one of the temptations to hold to our standard. If you're listening to us today and want to call in, we'd love to hear from you as well about your feelings, your temptations, how you overcame them. I've got some things I'm going to share as we go throughout this hour with you, and looking at some of the research that's been out there about people standing or how they feel about making choices or holding to their own morals. It's frightening to think about. Sometimes you have to stand out there and know that your view on something has got to be biblically solid, having the experience with it before you can say, okay, I believe it. Because you're going to be tested no matter how much you believe it or how long you've been in the journey. It doesn't stop because you're older, because you've been successful, or otherwise. It's a part of the journey. So
Bishop, when Paul says, don't be ignorant of the enemy's devices, where, and even from your coaching, you have a plan for the team, but then at the same time, you have to recognize the enemy that you're playing or the opponent that you're playing and know what they're, how they're going to attack, what type of game plan. And so you have to be able to know your plan, but also know the enemy's plan.
That's a great, and I'm going to use that same analogy as a coach. One of the things I've learned, and my brother was the head coach. I'm going to make that plain. I'm the oldest, but he was the head coach. Just in case he's listening, I don't want to forget that. But what we learned was, when you have an opponent, you have to know the weaknesses of your own team first. Where are you vulnerable?
Good.
A guy might be an incredible offensive player, but they've got a guy who's offensive. You got the guard. So he may not be the best you need to put out there at that time because maybe his skills to defend is not as good as you want, or this guy you're guarding is real strong going left or some direction, but your guy is good on one area, but now you might need to make a change in the plan or work on him in the next practice or so he can start moving in the right direction or pick up on his skills. And the reason I say that is because whenever you and I recognize our weaknesses, our personal temptations, then I won't be ignorant to the tools of the enemy. Yeah. That's where the problem comes in. We'll jump on the fact that we are saved. Yes, we are. That's a gift from God, the blood. But the working of my soul's salvation is, I need to pay attention to the places where I was tempted, where I was going through as a young man, what things I was viewing as Adam and Eve did in the garden. When I know what my weaknesses are, my propensities are, I start working on those.
So we can still be a Superman or Superwoman, but we have to recognize kryptonite situations.
Ooh, boy, you're preaching now. Come on now. Come on. You're going to get a love offer,
the fact that we have to look, and I love how you pointed that out. We have to look at where we're weak at, and I think because of the joy of our salvation, the joy of our faith, we may forget or not know that we still have some areas where there is some weakness where we have to be prayerful, have to be mindful of it, and know that the enemy is going to come, because the enemy won't fight fair,
Oh, yeah. And that's the name of that game. Yes. He does not fight fair. I say this often when we're doing our character training and integrity, listening, sharing with people, and that is, you can't hide the devil's tools from the devil. If secrets are tools of the devil. So when you have secrets, he already knows what you're hiding. He just exposes it at the time that's convenient for him. That's why we start hearing of people falling. You're wondering,
Yes, sir.
she fell, he fell.
Yeah.
What in the world? After all these things they had going on in life, well, you can't hide secrets from the King of secrets, from the Prince of secrets, because those are his tools. And so when people start to fall, we have to be able to grasp, Lord, but for the grace of God, there go I.
Yeah.
I never forget having the experience of moving to a position in one of the organizations I was in, and I was talking with the person who was in charge, and I said, how do I keep from falling? I mean, when these things, I see great people that I admired,
Yes, sir.
In ministry, I mean, around the world, and then I start hearing of them having these things going on in their lives, past coming up, 30, 40 years of good ministry, clean life, something comes up when they were teenagers or 20 years old or so. I said, how do I keep from falling? And the person said this to me: when God puts his thumb on something in your life, deal with it.
Yeah.
I started thinking, what does that mean? You're walking through a day, you see something that reminds you of something in your life. That's God putting his thumb on something that you're guilty of, something in your past. Go to him in prayer. Go to him and say, Lord, I need some help in this area. I want forgive first, and then start practicing how to overcome this. And then put some things in place in your life so you can see, if this comes up again, what tools do I have in the Word to deal with this?
Yeah. Yeah, I think we can take the passage that Paul talks about, a thorn in the flesh, as because not knowing that this was sent because of where he was going, was causing him to be, really be prideful to a extent.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes we are moving, and not knowing that whether they're secrets or whether they're weaknesses, but we're moving and not really saying, okay, God, thank you, help me in these areas,
Yeah. That's it's so good. And we're going to have to take a break in about 30 seconds or so. But it's so good because, first, God already knows where he's taking us. He already knows the journey he wants to put us on. It's not saving us and taking us to glory. It is saving us from sin, but also helping us to empty out those things and turn those things that are negatives into positives, those ends to beginnings. And that process is, I want to take you through a journey to grow you up, so that you can become a fruitful individual in the process. It's not enough for us just to say, okay, I'm saved, Lord, I'm holding on. We need to use these skills to become what used to be an enemy to us, now is strength. Listen, guys, I hope you all call in. We want to hear from you, but if you don't, Paul and I will take this thing to the end. We'll be back. This is Wild Word on Wednesday with B&B.
President Trump's pick to lead the Fed facing tough questioning on Capitol Hill. Kevin Warsh told lawmakers yesterday the central bank would remain independent under his leadership. Politico reporting North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis and Senate Banking Chair Tim Scott floating a special congressional committee that could replace a Justice Department probe into current Chair Jerome Powell. The short session of the General Assembly is underway. One of the main issues continues to be the lack of a full budget. There's talk there could be a breakthrough in the impasse over Medicaid funding in North Carolina. As many as 3 cargo ships have come under attack in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's Revolutionary Guard say 2 ships are now under their control. Raleigh Police Chief Rico Boyce telling citizens of the capital city in the wake of a string of violence that they should be alert and engaged in the coming summer months. Tony Rixby, NCN News.
I'm Jamie Monticelli, WIDU Radio News. The city of Fayetteville says with the Dogwood Festival coming up this weekend, they want to remind you about the festival park guidelines. All bags going into the park events must be clear and meet posted size requirements. Chairs and bags will be searched, and those chairs must be removed from their bags for inspection. Attendees with bags that do not meet policy requirements will be turned away at entry. Review the policies before attending to ensure compliance and avoid entry delays. Plan accordingly to ensure smooth entry into the event. For more information, go to FayettevilleNC.gov. The 42nd Annual Crime Stoppers Barbecue is back this Friday. It is bringing the smoke, the flavor, and your shot at grill greatness. It is Friday, April 24th, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. That is at Lori's Ace at 2800 Rayford Road, Suite 24A. For just $10, you'll get a plate of barbecue favorites. One lucky winner will take home a Louisiana Legacy 1200 pellet grill.
Starting out nice and cool on this Wednesday morning, and today's going to be one of those days where you wear the layers, right? We start out cool this morning, but by the afternoon, high temperatures are in the low to mid 80s. It's mostly sunny to at times partly cloudy sky, and we're breezy at times. Overnight, not quite as cool, but still comfy. Temperatures in the mid 50s heading into Thursday morning. Thursday and Friday afternoons, both very warm, highs in the mid to upper 80s. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the NCN Weather Center.
If you need a lawyer or you've been involved in an accident resulting in serious injury, call the Rogers Firm at 910-433-0833. We have a proven track record for getting results for persons injured due to the negligence of others. What you don't know can hurt you, and you need a firm who cares about you. So call the Rogers Firm at 910-433-0833. That's Attorney Alan Rogers and the Rogers Firm, a proud member and sponsor of Wake Up.
It's Friday Night Live in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where worship and praise and ministry will come together for an anointed time of the Lord. Friday, May 1st at 7:30 p.m. at the Gateway Center, 3860 Gateway Drive in Fayetteville, North Carolina, with special musical guests Reverend Luther Barnes and the Restoration Worship Center Choir and spoken word from Ambassador David Gilliam of Impact Nation, Petersburg, Virginia, and Houston, Texas. Come expecting to be uplifted and blessed as these men of God sing and preach about God's goodness and His healing power. That's Friday Night Live, May 1st, with Reverend Luther Barnes and the Restoration Worship Center Choir and spoken word from Ambassador David Gilliam of Impact Nation Church, Petersburg, Virginia, and Houston, Texas. Set for worship and praise at the Gateway Center, 3860 Gateway Drive in Fayetteville, North Carolina. A free will offering will be taken. That's Friday Night Live, Fayetteville, free and open to the public. For more information, call 877-959-7418 or go to David Gilliam Ministries Worldwide.org.
Angelic Flourish Creations, 442 Hillsborough Street, Fayetteville, is family owned and operated, proudly serving the Fayetteville area. Whatever the occasion, Angelic Flourish Creations can create a floral arrangement or gift for any occasion or holiday. Angelic Flourish Creations has prompt, friendly, and caring service. If you want to say you care, you can always say it with flowers from Angelic Flourish Creations, 442 Hillsborough Street, Fayetteville. Call 910-485-2205.
The North Carolina Healthcare Association invites you to listen to this month's podcast, Conversations on the State of Healthcare. This month we examined the Thrive 5, developed by Thrive OBX. The Thrive 5 is a way to bring the community together using outside partnerships to stay healthy as you age. My guest is Amy Montgomery, Executive Director of Operations at Outer Banks Health.
So Thrive OBX is about inspiring well-being and longevity through a community-wide cultural movement. The goal is simple: to help people thrive. Research shows that only about 30% of our longevity is tied to our genetics, and 10% depends on access to health care. So that leaves roughly 60% is determined by daily lifestyle choices, like how we eat, move, manage stress, sleep, and connect socially.
You can learn more and join our latest Conversations on the State of Healthcare wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, and find out more by visiting nchealthcare.org.
Wednesday morning, it's a comfortably cool start to the day, but temperatures rising into the 80s this afternoon. Going to be one of those days where it's tricky to dress for the weather. Breezy at times, mostly sunny to partly cloudy, and high temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Overnight, we're cool once again under a mainly clear sky. Temperatures in the mid 50s. And by Thursday, the warm-up continues. Thursday and Friday, very similar days with high temperatures in the mid to upper 80s. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the NCN Weather Center.
Hello, I'm Eric Hurley with the Police Department Traffic Unit. We don't write tickets to raise money. We write tickets to change behavior. Speed was the primary factor in more than 60% of the 28 fatal crashes we investigated last year. Every stop we make might be the one that prevents the next death. I'd rather give you a citation than tell your loved one you're never coming home.
I'm Detective Deal with the Fayetteville Police Department's Traffic Unit. As a crash reconstructionist, I don't guess what happened, I prove it. We measure, photograph, and digitally rebuild each fatal scene millisecond by millisecond. Speed is the most common factor we find in deadly crashes. I've seen cars split in half just because someone was in a hurry. These aren't freak accidents, they're choices, and every choice has a consequence.
If you see blue lights in 2026, expect a citation.
If we see this scene again, someone didn't listen. Your speed, your choice, your consequence.
Speed kills, respect the limit.
Carolina Complete Health, from neighborhoods in Charlotte to families in Greensboro, Raleigh, and Durham, all the way to Asheville and Wilmington, and everything in between. We are here for communities across North Carolina, connecting you to the care and support you need. We are here to make healthcare easier to access and understand. We are here to bridge the gap, because your health matters. Your community matters. You matter. We are here for your health. Visit hereforyourhealthnc.com.
And we are back here with Word on Wednesday with B&B, Bishop Carly Brinkley Jr. and John Godbolt and Paul Matthews. Pastor Matthews with us. He's actually taking the stead of my friend Bishop Brinkley. And we're talking today about holding to your morals in a moralist society, if you will. How do we stand? How do we make it work? How do we keep going? And I want to, again, define something before we go any further. When we talk about morals, these are your personal beliefs, how you feel about right and wrong. But ethics are those rules and guidelines that we have in our community or professional groups that govern our behavior. We need both. But I want to talk about, for us, really standing by our belief system of what is right and what is wrong. Because today, it's been almost a sad commentary to hear when you watch the news and you're picking up what's happening in the media world, that it seems like right has become wrong. And what we were taught as men and women of character and integrity has gone completely out of the window. But I do believe there is hope, for sure. So the question, you had a question while we were off the air. I want you to kind of share with us so we can deal with that, and then we'll start talking about some of the other things we have for the few minutes we have left.
Yes, sir. So Bishop, I was asking, so knowing that we may have secrets, that we have weaknesses, how do we walk this thing out? As far as being believers and representing the kingdom and being children of God.
That question was so on my mind as we were walking through the pieces of morals and making those kind of choices in our life to be whole and be right. And all of us have things in our lives that were planted either by choices that we made, or by generations that we came through, or by something that even God chose us to go through. There are some crosses that we bear in life, simply that God says, you're going to bear them because this is my choice for your life. But there's some other things that come about because of the generations that we come through. And then there are choices that we've made that looks like, okay, I made this choice, here are the consequences attached to it. But salvation is instantaneous and progressive. And I think that's where a lot of times as believers we forget that I'm instantly saved. I'm a new creature instantly, but I'm not mature yet. That's progressively. That is how I walk daily. That's the things that God is changing in my life. Because where there's secrets, like you said earlier, or it could be something that is part of my life, that I need to make sure that as I'm walking through this journey, that I'm saying, Lord, I want some help in this area. Here's one thing. If we know the why, we can figure out the how. If we know why it's important to us, if we know why we need to make these changes, if we know why we need some help in these areas, if we know the why, then the how will come. And I believe that's one of the challenges that we have to make sure that as believers, leaders, we got some great men and women. I've seen some of them as I travel to different places. They're young, they're committed, and they're learning. And I love that, but at the same time, I want them to be aware, okay, you are, as a coach would say, you're a good player, and you add to the team, but you're not great yet. I don't want you to fall off, because it's not just ability, it's availability. I need your ability. You got the ability, but are you available so that God can help you deal with those things in your life, shortcomings, downfalls, dysfunctionalities, secrets, whatever they may be, having someone in your life. And this is where we come to the point of having brothers of accountability. Brother Paul, if we have people in our lives that can bring us to the point of saying, look, I see you struggling with this. I'm noticing that you can't get away from certain things, or let's work on this. Let's talk about it. Trusting each other as brothers of accountability. Yeah.
Yeah, and I even see this particular trend where, they're saying, where unfortunately, some it's being preached from the pulpit that it's okay that you've got these issues, just be great. As if your greatness outweighs your weaknesses or your secrets.
Yeah, and that's so sad, because we have put good people in positions and disregarded, ignored, if you will, ignored their weaknesses, ignored their places of dysfunctionalities, and because they were gifted, we let them continue on. Yeah. And I'll never forget hearing the testimony of a pastor who failed, and he went through the process. I mean, he went through it, lost his church, big church, a mega church. And when he came back years later, I think it was a year and a half later, 2 years, and he did an interview. They asked him what happened. He said, in no uncertain terms, I had no one to bring me to accountability. Yeah. Every time I wanted to talk about what I was going through, the leaders of the church would say, well, you're a man of God. You're going to be fine. You're gifted. We love you, and you're going to be fine. No one told him, stop. Let's get some help. Get back to prayer and fasting. Get some counseling. Let's walk through this journey. The church will be fine, because it's not your empire we're trying to build. It's the kingdom of God.
Right.
And not having that accountability partner in his life, and people saying, you got a great gift, keep going. And that was how he wound up falling in that process.
Yeah. And I'm not sure if this kind of relates with it, but I can hear when Paul says, basically, I don't want to be disqualified myself, Yeah. And so oftentimes we equate the fact that God uses us, that he's okay with what we're doing, and not realizing that there's still accountability and there's still a level of integrity that we have to walk out.
See, and here I am again. I got to talk about a brother who got delivered, Samson.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, another perfect example of a gift.
Yes, sir.
But I think Bishop T.D. Jakes called him a he-man with a she problem, a she weakness. A he-man with a she weakness.
Yes, sir.
That combination of being able to use your gift but never be brought into accountability for your weakness. Perfect example of one of those. One of the ways, while we're talking about this, is once you know the why, and the why is, once you know it, you're going to clarify in your own mind why you need to hold to your principles, and then anchor yourself in those core values, in those morals. whatever it takes, start looking at why it's so important to you as an individual to be the person that you're called to be. And once you do that, then you figure out where you need some help.
Yeah. So, I know we have this shorten this hour, but so we need people that can hold us accountable.
Yes. Yes.
And what are some other areas? What's some other things that will help us in our walk of integrity?
For me personally, I've learned that when the highest call on a man's life, I'm going to use men, for example, is being a father. It is not being a bishop, an apostle, or a prophetess. The highest call on my life is being a father, because Jesus said, "Our Father which art in heaven."
Yes,
he
sir.
didn't call any other Jewish name, any great Hebrew, Chaldee, anything. He said, "Our Father." So, but there are other areas in my life. Number one is being a son. First, being a son, I need a father. I need someone to pour into my life. Then comes the brother of accountability. Then comes the husband behind that, then a father. Those are the steps. So if I'm going to grow, I must also recognize that the son that I see is not just always the biological, it's the spiritual.
Yes, sir.
When I listen to other preachers preach, I have to be a son because God is sending a father word to my son. If I think
Yes,
because
sir.
I'm the bishop, I
Right.
can't listen to anybody else, I'm missing the opportunity to receive in that setting.
Yes.
And then I can grow to a brother of accountability. I'm accountable, make other people accountable. Then I know how to be a husband, which is now the broader part of extending or producing a family. It's just like a baby. A baby is perfect, but it's still a baby. But it's not ready to be a father or husband or a father yet. But what's in it is there. It doesn't have to go back to the doctor or attach anything on it. It's there for that baby to become a father. But the timing, the processing, making sure they get all the good things they need to get to that point. And that's what I find that for us as men, especially African-American men, we get these big bodies and we get this mindset that, hey, I can handle it.
Yeah.
I'm tough.
Yes, sir.
And I don't need anybody. I don't need no counseling. I don't need any help. I'm just going to do this thing on my own. And you're carrying all these weights. You're dealing with in these unfair situations and systemic racism. You're leading a church. You're trying to, or in a position where you're leading others. And now you're almost at the point where you're being so stressed and you have no one to talk to because the enemy has isolated you with your problems, and nobody to talk to.
Right. And you have a reputation that you don't want to weaken by sharing that you are weak, or and wow.
You know what I say about reputation? Reputation is how you want people to perceive you. Character is who you really are.
Right.
And that's what we have to separate it. And because of reputation, we start walking a false life, wanting folk to see us in an image that's not really who we are.
So it's almost you playing the role of a gangster in a movie, but then but then you after they say cut, you still want to walk and try to be that role, which really that's not who you are.
Exactly.
Wow.
And all those things in life, it's so easy. That's why when Adam and female was in the garden and the enemy said what Satan in his Lucifer in his satanic form was, this is what you're going to see. This is what you're going to be.
Yes,
he
sir.
gave her a gangster image.
Yeah.
And when she ate that fruit and gave it to her husband, it was not a gangster boy. It turned south real quick.
Yes, sir. And so then we have to be able to discern even the quote unquote applause or the praise of men.
Wow.
To not cause us to desire it and try to, so let me continue this so I can get more praise.
Yeah, and that's the danger of people talking to us and we started getting our heads blown up by the breath of the creature when we're supposed to give our breath back to the Creator.
Yes, sir.
And recognize, of course, that there's a lot of, and we got to prepare for that. We have to tell our team, just like I'm coaching these young boys and telling them, you have to recognize, okay, anybody can play the first half.
Yes, sir.
But the real ball players come up in the second half.
Yes, sir.
The real heart, where you living from, brother.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
That's the key. Not what you're proving to people. What are you doing when you're by yourself? What's your practice? What are your normal routines when nobody's watching you? When practice is over, what are you eating? How are you preparing yourself away from the game?
Yes, sir.
That's the key.
And those are teaching moments, even during this playoffs, that you can sit down with a son or a daughter and let them know. Your team may be up, big this first half, but really, that's awesome. That's all.
They're runs. They got runs.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
It looks like, are we ever going to get a break in this run?
Right.
But that's part of recognizing and preparing for the moral injuries. And in other words, the enemy knows where we are having these things. So we got to prepare ourselves. Okay, we know what our weaknesses are. When we get hit with something, how do we start saying, okay, I know what he wants me to do. He wants me to feel guilty. I think you were saying earlier,
yes, sir,
when you get saved, the first thing the devil's going to tell you, you're not saved.
Right.
And let me give you a list of reasons. He pulls out this scroll of list of things you've done. Remember?
Yeah.
Guilty.
Yes, sir.
And we have to say, yes, that's who I was.
Right.
But by the grace of God
and
the blood of Jesus Christ, this is who I am.
Yes, sir.
And not allowing him to make us feel guilty or distressed or ashamed of our lives. And then learning that, I'm going to get hit.
Yeah.
And if I have to stand by myself, I will. Man, I've been there, Paul. It's a lonely place. I've been there, Pastor, when I had to stand on something I knew, and I couldn't tell anybody about all the things I knew, because I knew if the person changed their lives and they did right, and I've already given someone else an image of this person.
Yes, sir.
Then they'll never see the person as a changed individual, because I said what I said about them. So I had to carry this and say, you got to trust that God knows what he's doing with my life.
Yes, sir.
And I've seen this. But I had to stand by myself. And I know what it is to be in that place where every time you take a step, your head is pounding and your heart is pounding, and you're wondering how much longer, but you still push through another day, and God eventually shows you, this is where I wanted you.
Bishop, I am so glad that this is streamed, so I can go back and pick up the nuggets, because it's definitely something necessary for me. And I just believe for those who are listening and those who may have caught the back end of it. But I do say, with that analogy of runs in a game, so the Lord will give us a spiritual timeout.
Yeah.
So so we can reset, kind of realign.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
sir.
it.
Yeah.
And build a system, build your community of people that are like-minded. There's some other people out there like you. When I say you, I'm not talking about Pastor Paul, but yes, all of us. We find people in our lives like us who believe like we believe, and stay in contact with them, whether it's by Zoom or texting or something, because we need to know, as Elijah thought, I'm the only one left. And God said, bro, I got 7,000 you don't even know about, bro. There's some other people out there with you, okay? Listen, our time is coming and gone. We got a large group of people from the county coming in to share with you some great information about our county. Stay with us, because we want you to be informed voters, informed about our county, what's out there for us, and how we can become better together. All right, remember, the only thing the evil needs to triumph is for good men and women like you to do nothing. Take care.